Welcome back to Living with a Classic. A little cold, a little windy today, but we have a really exciting car coming into the shop to start working on. This TVR. It's a TVR Griffith 500, and it's a good friend of mine who owns it. If you remember on the channel for the last 2 years, I've worked on a yellow XJC, and that is the owner of that car. This is his car as well. He was really happy with the work on the XJC, and he asked if I wanted to have a look at his TVR. It's been sitting, I think, since like 2015, 2016, something like that. Fix a couple things on it, get it back on the road. So I said, sure. He brought it up here, and I was really busy at the time, so I've just been storing it until now, and now I have some time to work on it. So I just pulled it out of storage, just washed off all the dust, and we'll have a look at it. Going to pull into the workshop. It needs a complete tune-up, just because it didn't really pass emissions last time, but it's had some things done since then. It's not running the greatest at the moment, but it's running better and better. I put some fresh fuel in it and some injector cleaner. That's just helping out, but we're going to do plugs and go through everything. And then it has some sort of driveline lag, which is sort of common on these, so we're going to have a look at that. It has some spare drive shafts for the back if we need that, not really sure. It needs new tires, going over the brakes, electrical issues, of course. It is a glass fiber car, always have electrical issues, but we'll do a really quick walk around here in the wind, or yeah, a really quick one, then we'll pull it inside in the warmth, because it's pretty cold today. And here it is incredibly low. It would be fun later just to put next to XJS, because XJSs always feel low, but this thing is so low. So if you don't know, it has a Rover V8 in it, bored up to 5 liters. I don't remember the horsepower, but it's quite a bit. It is really rumbly and loud, and just a very, very cool car. So let's see if it still really wants to fire up. I had a hard time getting it going before. I wouldn't really want to idle, but let's see. Clamber into this very cool cockpit. Get my I got boots on because I was washing it. I definitely can't get those into the car, and also wouldn't want to. But let's see. Interior is matte. I mean, the door handles are down there. I do have a soft spot for TVRs. Would possibly like to have one someday, so it'd be very fun to experience. These are supposed to go like crazy, so let's see if it wants to. There we go. Yeah, I think we just had some injector issues before from sitting. I had really old fuel in it, but now it has fresh stuff, and I ran it up to temperature with some injector cleaner in it. Let's see, we're in neutral. Now it's actually idling. Oh, runs pretty alright. It was missing on one cylinder every now and then, but I have all new ignition components for it and some things. So let's pull into the workshop and we'll have a look. I think I'm going to take the bonnet off to work on it, because I'll show you that it's not a lot of room with the bonnet in place. As you see with the bonnet up, it's a little tight. So I'm going to see if it's easy to get it off or not. If not, you can still sort of get to the plugs down there. TVR, and yeah. But I think we're going to get rid of it. This needs to be glued back on. That will also be easier with the bonnet off, because then I can lay it upside down and put some weights on it when I glue that. See, it's been wearing through the belt here. Oh, I think that's going to be... It might just actually be popped onto there. It feels logical that if you service these things that you need to remove the bonnet. But other than that, it's a pretty cool car. So I'm going to start doing that and getting this thing into position, letting it dry off for a bit and cool down, and then we will get to it. So we're doing coolant hoses because they don't look the greatest. All the hard lines and everything look fine. We're going to have a look at the chassis underneath. It was fine in the last inspection, but just make sure, because they are famous for rusting a little bit. But it looks like there is spray on under seal on everything. Since the last time it was on the road and it didn't really pass emissions, someone else has replaced the O2 sensors up here. So that's really interesting how the exhaust goes forward and then there's a cat and then it goes back. So they have been replaced, but I have found some vacuum lines and some things disconnected. So hopefully we can get this thing running a lot better. But let me get some things out of the way, set up some lights so we can actually see something, and then we'll start working on it. So the first thing I noticed when I had a look at this engine is this is the line for the vacuum advanced. It was disconnected in both ends. So first of all, it's a vacuum leak. Second of all, it's not going to run right. So let's pull out of the cap and just have a look. If I put a vacuum gauge on there, or a tester I mean, and pull some vacuum, does that thing work, or do we have to get another one? And then we'll do a basic tune up on it. I have plugs and cap and rotor and all of that. So we'll do that and we'll see if it runs a little bit better then. And we'll also have a look in here, just make sure it's not completely dirty in the sensor. I think we'll have a look, make sure it's not completely gummed up here, just because it has a little bit of issue idling cold sometimes. So we'll have a look if that is a purely mechanical thing or if it's an electronic thing for that. Not completely sure, but let's start with having a look at the distributor. Cap is pretty worn. There's some oxidation there, and the button is a lot lower than on my new cap. So it's a good thing we have a new one. But the weights and everything are nice and free. So let me get a vacuum tester on there and we'll see if anything moves with vacuum applied to that. The one thing I realized I don't think I have, I thought I ordered, but I don't have plug wires. They do look really good, but they should be standard for any Rover V8, so I should be able to get those pretty quickly if I need them. But I do have the specific plugs for these engines, the correct cap and rotor and all of that. So at least we'll swap out those things, and hopefully this thing will run a little bit better then. What we should see happen is it should move and it should hold vacuum. So nothing. And my gauge works. We'll do the really simple test. Yeah, I can hear it leaking. Let's see if it's... No, it's not. They need to plug that side. Alright, so I need to look and see if I can get one of those. Might not be the easiest if it's specific for this car. However, we can give it a tune-up. So we'll put a new cap and rotor on. I'll put new plugs in it, and they're just here on the side. It should be pretty easy to get to, like my P6 Rover. We'll get those out, change them out, and we'll see how it runs. We can also see if it's been running overly rich or something, judging by how the plugs look when they get out. Got all the plugs out and I put new ones in, and they're all really black and sooty. So definitely probably one reason it wasn't running that well. We'll see if it is running rich or not, or if this is just from it sitting for a while, running on bad fuel. And I've had it for a while and had to move it around. I usually try to warm it up when I moved it, but yeah, this isn't that great. Put new ones in, of course. They're all in place. I went through all the parts I ordered for this, and unfortunately, I don't know why I didn't order plug wires, but I didn't. So I gotta get a set because they're falling apart. This one, I just took it off, and then the whole metal clip just went to pieces. So through a spare plug wire I have on there, just to fire it up now. I have a new cap and rotor on there, so hopefully I got the firing order right. I am going to pull this little pipe out here and put just a screw in there to plug it so we don't have a vacuum leak. I did remove part of the intake here in the map sensor, and it was really dirty in here, so I cleaned that up, and a little bit here as well. So I'm wondering if the air filter is all the way down there. I wonder if that is being disintegrated or something. I have a new one, so I think I'm just going to hook up the sensor again, but maybe not plug in the air filter, run it without an air filter just for now until we've changed that. But let me do that, and then we'll see if this thing fires up, warm it up, and see if it runs better than before. Okay, let's see if it's any better now. And yes, if you forgot from before, we did put new fuel in it, so there is that. you have a bad connection somewhere. It does this sometimes. Oh, I know what it is. It's coil wire. Let's see if it's any better this time. That was really instantaneous. And it really does feel like we have all cylinders now. Building oil pressure, we have fuel. So let's go out, listen to it, and then we're gonna let it warm up for a bit. Yeah, that's a V8. Okay, we'll let this thing fully warmed up. I have checked there's coolant in it. Oil's full as well. Let it warm up and then we'll see how it runs. I'm letting it warm up here. You can see there's some smoke up here from the radiator area. I actually just think it's water from me washing it. You know, the bonnet sort of pours down into there. Because where it sat in my storage unit all winter, there wasn't a drop underneath it. And coolant was up to level. All the hoses are really old, but I think it's just the wetness here is just the water on the radiator from washing the car earlier. But it's running nicely now. Let's see if we can get it up at some sort of temperature. Let me see. Gauge hasn't really moved yet, but we're keeping a steady idle. That's really good. I didn't really want to idle before when it wasn't on all cylinders. That was really good throttle response. So imagine once you get the vacuum advance working, that will be even better. That won't do anything about emissions. Now that we've plugged that, you could actually go and get this thing inspected. It just won't perform as well out on the road. But I'm going to continue letting it fully warmed up. And then I'm going to back into the workshop, put it over there where I like to keep all the smaller cars like this one. And then the front will be towards me and I can work on some other things in the future on it. Alright, so warmed it up. That went really well. Now it's back in here. But I noticed one thing. Remember how it was a little difficult to crank? I let it sit aside and cool down for a little bit, and then let's try starting again. It was even more difficult. And I look down here where the battery goes. Well, it's supposed to go all the way in there, but sitting at here. As you see, there's a nerve cable here, and then there's a thick one going over there. This one was not connected. Must have just been a mistake when someone put the battery in. So with that connected, it now cranked over really nicely. But still want to look over all the electrics, but that will be in a future video. Okay, that is it for this video. The start of a series on this TVR. Really interesting, cool car. I personally really love TVRs. I may want to own one at some point, so work on one is great, and it's a good friend of mine and a good customer, so it feels nice to work on. They seem to be pretty simple cars. It's just, you know, a pretty nice chassis, a really light body on top of it. That's something I really like. You can push this thing around in the workshop really easily, so that's nice. I usually have really big heavy jags in here. Nice Rover V8, which I really love as well. So it needs a set of plug wires now. I thought I had some, I just don't know why, but I'll get a set of those. Then I have a new set of silicone coolant hoses for the whole car. So we'll get rid of those, because even when I was going, you see here, you see it's about to crack right there, and I can see a little coolant just, yeah, not very good at all. So we'll swap all that out, flush out the coolant system, have a new thermostat as well. Put all that together, then get new tires for it and go through the electrics, because not much of electrics works. So the next episode will either be the coolant system or the electrics. We have, I checked now, had some of the lights at least. We had windshield wipers. We had flashers, like indicators. We did not have any electric windows, and the climate control settings, the fan, nothing that was working. So that was apparently all working the previous time the owner drove this car. So yeah, we'll have to look through all of that. So that might be the next video on this car. But let me know what you think of the TVR down below if you want to follow along. Just getting this thing out on the road and ready for summer for the owner. Anyways, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. Until next time, I'm Adam. This is Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.